The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 450. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a phenomenal lady on the show today. She's an audio producer and also a writer, and I'm just really excited to have her on and share her story with us today on self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Paola Mardo. Paola, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to our listeners.
Sure. Hey, Sheena. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well. And a little bit about myself. So I'm a writer and an audio producer. And what that means is I write stuff and I produce audio for radio and podcasts. And currently, actually, I'm working at the show KPCC's The Frame. So it's a arts and entertainment show at KPCC, which is our NPR affiliated station here in Los Angeles. And a little bit of random work background. I actually came from the film industry. After college, I worked in film, doing everything from marketing. I worked at a film festival. I worked at a production company. And, throughout that experience, I just really fell in love with stories and talking to people and also podcasts, and hence the current job of an audio producer.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Paula, what's your cultural background?
So my cultural background, I am a Filipino American. So I was born in Los Angeles, actually, but when I was very young, my family, we moved to Manila, and I grew up in Manila, in Kuala Lumpur, and in high school, I went to high school in the East Bay area. So culturally, I'm Filipino American, but I have kind of this funky international upbringing.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
I would say, I can't think of a specific quote, but just general guidelines, I guess. I think be yourself. I know that's a pretty standard, statement that people have made, but I think honestly, sometimes, especially in terms of self-confidence, I think it's nice to be reminded that, just being yourself is probably the best thing you could do in any given situation. So be yourself and also dream big. Don't let people, take your dreams down, and, don't be afraid to reach for the stars.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. Those are, short quotes, but they're very powerful at the same time, especially as women. I think we have a hard time trying to be ourselves, just because as we were told to be the good daughter, the good wife, the good sister, whatever it may be. It's we have to play a role, not realizing just being our authentic self is more than enough to go out there and do the things that we want. So thanks for sharing that. And in your own words, how do you define self-confidence?
That is a good question. I would say it's, having the power and the will to do something unapologetically, and, being able to stand up for yourself and your ideas. Like you were mentioning, especially being a woman. And for me, being a woman pretty early in my career, it's easy, to lose confidence in yourself, or to give up, or to be scared about doing certain things. I mean, I've changed careers basically over the last 2-3 years. I've kind of gradually changed the path that I was originally on, and it was scary. And there were many times where I was like, what am I doing? Why don't I just, do the easy way? But, I think self-confidence is important in keeping you on your own track. So it's important in guiding you and kind of, giving you that power and that will to continue forward, even when, maybe even your own mind says, maybe this isn't the right thing to do. Self-confidence is just, trying to challenge that and challenge yourself.
Thanks for sharing that great definition. And Paula, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. When did I discover it? I don't know. I think self-confidence for me is something that, I'm constantly working on. Just in general, I like to learn, continue learning. So I don't know if there was one particular moment where I was I am this super self-confident person, But I think definitely very recently, last year, I actually went to graduate school. I went to USC's School of Journalism at Annenberg. And I felt like that was a time when I was really able to take a step back from the path that I was currently on in life and reevaluate everything and reevaluate myself. And one of the things I was, kind of analyzing was my own confidence in what I was doing and in my work. So I guess I would say graduate school would be kind of like one point in my life where I did discover a little bit more about myself in terms of, like you say, self-confidence and other things. But before that, I think I was, very, how do I say this? I think I was kind of, I don't know if lost is the exact word, because I knew the path that I was on had, a direction and a way it was going forward. But I personally didn't feel happy about that, and I wasn't completely into where my life was taking me. So, lost, maybe a little confused, and also just questioning myself, is this what I really want to do? Is this where I want to go? And it wasn't until, very recently that I realized, you know what, I'm going to take my life into my own hands and change things up. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, it did. Sometimes we feel like we're on this path, right? And sometimes we think this is the path I'm supposed to take. And then, you look at it and you're like, wait a minute, is this the path am I supposed to take? Because a part of you may feel like there might be another path to take, right? And it's great that you're able to just take a step back and analyze and figure out what you really want, because a lot of people feel like if they take a step back, it's like it's a sign of failure. It's like, oh, you screwed up. Why are you taking a step back? But sometimes we all just have to take a step back and just think, what do I want to do? Do I want to start over? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with taking a step back, figuring out what you want, analyzing, what your life is or what you want to do or what it would look like. And sometimes there's just things we can't explain, but we know it's like this, we have to go out there and do it, right? I'm pretty sure people are like, why would you do that, right? And you're just like, I don't know, I felt like doing it, right? And I can't explain it either. So, it's great that you're able to, even have that courage to just take a step back and, if it meant changing careers, it's fine, or going back to school, it's great. No, like I said, nothing wrong with that. And, because of that realization, what's your life been like now?
Well, actually, the way you framed it is really great, because it also reminded me, like, I think one thing that I was feeling at the time was, I think that sense of fear of being vulnerable. When you want to make a big change in your life, you make yourself vulnerable. So that's one thing I was very worried about. And then after I did it, I realized it was the best thing I could ever do. And it's actually good to be vulnerable. I think that's where the best ideas can come from, because you're just kind of like totally out there and open to experimenting and trying new things, and no one's judging you. Like, going back to school is the perfect example, because, like, that's always a scary thing. You don't know what you're going to miss out on outside of, school. If you leave the job market for a while, you're like, oh my God, will I have a job when I get back out? Sometimes you have to take risks. And for me, it paid off. And I feel way better and much more, I think much more open to different things. And because I was able to kind of experiment and try new things, I think that's really opened up my mind to other possibilities, not just in what I do right now as basically a journalist, a writer, producer of audio and stuff, but also just as a person, open to other avenues and other industries.
Awesome. And I like how you mentioned that, right? Just being open to different things. Like, you don't always have to stay to one path. If you can do 2 or 3 different things, why not, right? I've interviewed many women who have like 3 different things, and, some people might say, that doesn't make any sense. Well, it doesn't have to, right? If it makes you happy, why not? And I think a lot of people forget that, right? They just feel like you have this one path, especially growing up as an Asian person, right? It's like, go to school, get a job, and then work till you're 60. No one ever teaches you, hey, you can get paid to travel, you can get paid to do voiceovers. Nobody ever tells you these things, right? So I think it's great that you're out there, taking that risk, being vulnerable, because, that's what helps people kind of relate to each other, right? That vulnerability, and just be willing to go out there and just do whatever you want, try different things, no matter what the consequences are. So I think that's really great. And, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey of self-confidence. What would be that one tip you would give to her?
That one tip, I would say, don't be afraid, because I think, a long time ago, someone once told me that fear is your friend. Like, it's good to be scared of things, because that forces you to take action. But to me, I think no, it's like, do not be afraid, be fearless, because only then, it's only when you're fearless that's when you can actually do things and make big moves and bold moves and, not worry so much about the consequences. Because at the end of the day, you only have one life and you want to live it to the fullest. So don't be afraid to try new things or make a change.
Awesome. And I like the tips that you mentioned. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yeah, well, my favorite social media platform is Twitter. So I'm always on Twitter. It's at Paola Mardo. That's PaolaMardo. And I have a website. It's paulamardo.com. I'm on Instagram. Where am I? I'm everywhere. Just Google me. I'm on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Paola, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Paola's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else that we talked about. And I just really want to thank Paola today for taking the time to share her story and tips with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much, Paola.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
Not a problem. It was really great having you on the show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Want to learn how you can use podcasting to market your business? Download your free report by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.